Sup everyone, welcome. Today we have another video. We're talking a little bit about the copiums here. Now, the vast majority of you may have come across videos or discussions or topics or forums talking about Mika, talking about Eula, talking about physical DPS in general, shatter, whatnot, superconduct, needs above, all the sorts. But today we're going to kind of be consolidating them. I've made a video talking about Mika, my brutal honest truth, what I think about Mika. I've made videos talking about Mika Eula synergy and all that stuff, but today we're talking about this whole copium situation. This doesn't just pertain to Mika, he's just the most recent example of this. Now let's dial the clock back, dial it back maybe to what, a year from now ago, chat? Like how long was it ago? To a reminiscent of a character that also caught our attention. And I'll even argue that the character I'm about to tell you guys right now caught our attention far more than Mika has. And the copium for that character now in hindsight was just absolutely absurd, because statistics does show that this character fell off a cliff harder than Venti did after drinking 3 pints, of pure 100% alcohol. And the character I'm trying to really picture for you guys is Hazel. Yeah, I know. Take a second. Let it sink in. Do you guys remember when Hazel first came out, how many people were like, wow, this character is revolutionary. This character changes the game. I can't believe HoYoverse had something like this in their back pocket. This is going to be my most played character. I'm going to main Hazel. I am going to cosplay Hazel in my, next anime adventures or like whatever convention that I go to. And now fast forward, the guy is almost never played. You know where Hazel is sitting in terms of usage? Right? Yeah, that's right. Next to this guy. And I'm not even capping. He is literally sitting side by side, shoulder to shoulder. They are so far down the usage list right now that they are basically non-existent characters. Right? Out of 120,000 people on the CN server, what was it? 108 of them used Hazel in this abyss. And if you want to check last abyss, if I remember correctly, it was 87 or something like that. It was 80 something out of 627,000 people. That hurts. That really hurts. And considering, like, we're not talking about Amber, we're not talking about Aloy, we're not talking about, Lisa, all these more basic characters that kind of were hand given to us. We're talking about a 4-star that is kind of relatively new. His introduction to the game really brought about something that we have never seen. And I even asked chat if, get this, Scaramouche's kit was based off of Hazel, but like a 5-star kit of Hazel, meaning better scaling, more flashiness, well-designed lore, constellations that are catered towards 5-star development, dedicated 5-star weapon. And I was just kind of demonstrating, just try to picture how much more cool Scaramouche could have been if he kind of like punches with like these Air Force punches and then punches you away. And then he opens his palms and then suck you back. And then that suction is kind of like AoE. So if he can fight groups of mobs, punch them away, dealing an instance of a Nemo damage, suck them back, and then punch them again in another instance of a Nemo damage. And maybe the elemental skill could have charges. Maybe there's 2 charges, get him to C1. Then you have 3 charges. Then you can punch him away, suck them back in, punch him away, suck him back in, and punch him away. It's just like, and you can like link it with combos, right? And for example, you don't need to punch him away then suck him. You can engage fights by sucking. It's just, okay, I just realized how many times I said the word suck them, but put your attention back onto the discussion. Try to picture a Scaramouche that is more of like a close combat, like boxing fighter type deal, as opposed to, this kind of weird sorcerer mage that flies around with like wind scythe slicing down. Now, I know if they made Scaramouche like that, it's going to be mighty difficult to sell Faruzan C6. Trust me, I understand that. But my point here is, Hazel was such a well-designed character. You guys cannot deny that he was the most creative in terms of DPS archetypes that we have in the game. One of, not the most, but one of the more interesting ones. Yet, look where he is now. Pretty much ignored, forgotten. And I'm telling you this right now, the only reason Hazel is in the position where he is right now is because he's not integrated into the story as much as some of the other characters, as well as him not being a 5-star. Case in point, if Hazel was a 5-star and well integrated into the story with the same kit, exactly same kit, just scaled up to a 5-star, he would be wildly popular. He would have 30-40% usage rate even today. That character is amazing. He's just very boring and bland in terms of development, right? So now we look at Mika. Now what even sparked this? You guys remember Walrus? Like where is this all coming from? It's coming from the fact that there's people right now who's defending Mika in topics discussion forums where people are saying he's bad, right? People are like, oh, well, so technically he's not bad, right? It's just he's a attack speed buffer. You guys are trying to pair him with Eula. He's supposed to be paired with Yoimiya. And he's a huge buff to Yoimiya. Yoimiya got another buff, right? But if you actually closely examine the situation, it's like, wait a minute, that's not true. Yoimiya didn't get a buff because Yoimiya right now is like Yoimiya, Xingqiu, or Yelan, right? Paired with Yunjin, paired with Zhongli, right? Or if you don't have Yunjin, you drop Yunjin for Bennett. Yoimiya is fine in that team, right? Who are you going to take out? You can't take out the Vaporize. That doesn't work. You can't really take out Zhongli because you really need a shielder. Yoimiya without a shooter, it doesn't matter what kind of buff you have going on. Like, it doesn't matter how fast you're attacking. If the mob so much as look at you the wrong way, she's going to be like, chuk, 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 and then she has to start from the beginning again. Yoimiya cannot be interrupted during her attack sequencing, and she has such a long attack sequence that it's just unreasonable to demand most players to play her without a shielder, unless you're some sort of god gamer that can weave the perfect windows of auto attacking. Just the fact you have to dodge after her like infusion, you're already losing DPS. It doesn't matter what Mika makes up in terms of attack speed, you're gonna lose it because you have to dodge enemies. It's just that plain and simple. So if you drop Zhongli to put Mika to make a point, you can make a point, but like your point is gonna be skewed. Your point is actually gonna be proven. Another point is the fact that Mika doesn't really add much because you're gonna be losing DPS. In the same time frame, you're gonna be losing DPS, right? And then we're gonna do replace Bennett. Sure, like I think Bennett and Yunjin is the only character you can replace. Now, Bennett would make a better case example if you maybe have a higher constellation Mika, but Yunjin, you're gonna take away Yunjin from a Yoimiya team. Not only Yunjin's buff, you're also gonna be taking away, guess what? The Geo Resonance as well, right? You're gonna put in Mika and you're gonna lose the Geo Resonance. You take away Bennett, you also lose the Power Resonance. You lose a 25% attack bonus. What are you gonna do with that? Right? These are all things that are difficult for players to replace. So let's not kid ourselves for a second here and say Mika is the second coming of another, Yoimiya hype train. I'll reiterate this again. Mika doesn't really have a purpose yet. I honestly feel like Mika is designed for a physical DPS that also relies on attack speed. Hell, they can even scale off of attack speed. Have you guys seen a character in Genshin Impact that scales off of attack speed? Oh, the more attack speed this character has, the more damage they deal or something like that. The character doesn't exist. And that's why right now Mika, if we're looking at him objectively, feels like he has no place where he belongs. He's a very awkward character to slot into many teams. His cryo application is kind of like yikes to say the least. Right? He generates an okay amount of particles, but his application for his buff is also weird as hell. So you say, okay, I'm going to pair him with Yoimiya, but you forgo the physical damage buffing aspect of Mika's kit and you only leverage attack speed for Yoimiya. Like, how can you like look at that and say that's okay, right? You need a character that is both physical attack and relies on attack speed. One example of that could be Fischl, right? Fischl actually can benefit a lot from having more attack speed. If you guys ever heard of Machine Gun Fischl, it's a thing. Check it up for yourselves. It's actually pretty damn crazy, right? But that's also a more niche way to play the game. You see, the thing also with Mika is if you want to get more attack bonus, you need to hit more enemies, right? You need to mark more enemies. I believe with your elemental skill, it goes up to 40% attack bonus if you mark, what was it, 4 enemies. In a specific scenario where you have to have at least 4 enemies around to get the maximum amount of bonus so your characters can leverage that, it's a pretty tight window. So ideally, a character that can leverage that is a character that is close combat, that can hit multiple enemies with their hit. Think like, guys, just think about it. For example, a bow character such as Fischl, she's only going to be hitting one character, right? Whereas the buffs you for like not an insane duration. It's by no means a long buff. So you want to be close. You don't want to have to run up to them either. You want to be close. You want to happen that instant, buff and unleash a flurry of attacks on the enemies and just get the job done fast. I'm telling you, it could in theory be a very satisfying playstyle. Think Kaching, but like on crack. Right? Kaching is another good example. Physical Kaching could kind of play around with this. But what I'm thinking is a character that maybe their elemental skill infuses their attack widens the attack and strikes extremely fast, or their elemental skill summons like a Kage Bunshin, right? Like a shadow clone that attacks with you, and they're both physical attacks, right? And that Mika's physical buff applies to you and your clone, give both of you attack bonuses, covers a huge wide AoE, hitting multiple enemies, and then you're just slicing and dicing them through physical damage. That could work. But right now, that type of character doesn't exist. So we should stop, huffing and puffing this copium juice and telling people, oh, but Mika, no, he's not, right? Let him go. Once his time comes back, we will revisit him. And who knows, maybe I'll get on my knees and be like, oh, I'm sorry, I was wrong, Mika. But until then, let's all just relax and stop telling people that Mika is worth it and pulling him and like feeding into this FOMO, because right now you will be completely fine. Even if you're a Eula main, you're an official physical main, you're a Kaching physical main, even if you're a Razor physical main, none of these characters can really fully utilize Mika. Okay? And once he comes back on the rerun with his 5-star character, pull for him then. That's all I gotta say. I don't want to really be telling people what to say, what not to say. I'm just trying to protect the people out there who are less knowledgeable when it comes to this stuff. I was talking to the chat. Sometimes you probably aren't going after Mika, but you're trying to find justifications for pulling on maybe a Aika Shinhe banner. Being like, oh, Mika sounds pretty good, right, guys? I guess it wouldn't hurt, right, at getting this banner, pulling Mika preemptively, compare him with my Eula, compare him with my Kaching Fischl, whatever, buff up my Yoimiya team, right? Attack speed, wow, amazing. People kind of buy into this kind of stuff and use it as justification for pulling on these banners. What I'm telling you guys is, you guys should honestly wait. This is not the right time to pull, right? This is really not the right time to pull. Next patch could potentially hold some pretty juicy stuff. I've made videos talking about it. If you guys want me to start preparing you guys for next patch, just let me know in the comments below. I can start looking into some stuff. I mean, the live stream is what, a week, 2 weeks away? It's coming up fairly soon. It wouldn't hurt to at least wait, right? The banner isn't going anywhere until its full duration ends. Give it some time. Let it cool. Don't buy into the CC, right? Don't buy into all the videos and the people posting about this stuff, the screenshots showcasing damage numbers. Just relax, right? Till next time, we're sure to stay safe. Peace, and bye.